Okay, tonight's preseason action. The Islanders are playing Philly. Buffalo's playing Toronto. Chicago's playing Ottawa. Washington's playing Carolina after losing last night to Montreal. Yeah, I messed that up. Happens. Because it's preseason, and I've mentioned this before. I'm not really worried about who wins and who loses. It doesn't. Who loses? It doesn't matter. If you get excited because your team's winning in the preseason, you're in for disappointment. And if you're losing and you're all upset, including myself with the Canucks, you might be overreacting. It's our nature. So Washington's in Carolina, Calgary's in Winnipeg, Columbus and St. Louis, Tampa Bay's in Nashville. And Tampa Bay is one that I'm going to keep an eye on because the way they're losing is a little bit unnerving, but we'll see how it turns out. The first order of business today is this. This is the new third jersey. It's just in an Adidas. This is what the Flames decided to do. And on Twitter, they're kind of getting drilled by fans that wanted to see something new. There are a lot of fans that apparently wanted to see the Horsehead come back. I don't think they'll ever do it. I really can't see them ever doing it. I think that would be like the Kings bringing back the Burger King jersey and the Blues saying we're going to do the trumpets. I can't see it. I just can't see it. But there are Flames fans that would like to see it at least on a shoulder or something. I will say this: if the Flames decided to go with this design as their main jersey, I think we would all be happy with that. I do, and I have a Flames with the black C on it, and it's sharp, but this one is just that little bit better. The design, the Adidas, the logos are a nicer design than on the Reebok replicas. But anyways, I digress. The Flames retro third. I know there's some Flames fans that are excited. I'm excited because I should be getting my first third jersey. I would think by the start of October. I'm hoping because honestly, um, I'm going to decide on which ones I get in which order, and I think it's going to be kind of fun. But the Flames one, honestly, I have the 1989 with the Stanley Cup patch. I have this one. I really don't need an Adidas one because it's exactly the same shirt, just with an Adidas NHL silver NHL right here, and that's pretty much it. So it's a lot to spend on something that I basically have twice. The Ekblad situation is a situation, saying that when they match up with each other again, scores will be settled, or the score will be settled either way. Watch it. 2004, the Vancouver Canucks came out after the Steve Moore hit on Marcus Naslund and said basically the same thing. There was a lot of talk coming out of the Canucks locker room of Steve Moore is going to pay for that. He hit our best guy. He was cowardly. Yada yada yada. And of course, then the Bertuzzi punch happened, which there were a number of Canucks that were probably willing to do something similar in that exact situation. Because of that, Ekblad, I would imagine, will get talked to. NHL will give him a call and say, hey, no. And coming up towards that game, I would think the NHL would call Florida Panthers management and say, we will be watching this game. There are ugly incidents that take place that can be prevented. And the worst part of the Steve Moore incident was that was totally preventable. And the NHL didn't do anything, and the Canucks just let that anger and hatred fester, and, a guy's career was ended. So I would think, now, Max Domi is not exactly a wilting flower. He won't shy away from a fight, but at the same time, you don't want to see somebody getting mad towards the end of a game, cross-checking him on the boards, some dirty play happening as a result of this. So the fact that he's saying this and that there's other Florida Panthers saying it was a gutless move, he's a horrible player, yada, yada, yada. The NHL's got to intervene. They have to. On the demoted list, some interesting ones. The Canucks have put Tanner Kiro on waivers to send him down. He'll pass through. I can't see anybody picking up Kiro. Cole Lind and Gadjevich are going down as well. I didn't think Lind played particularly well in the preseason when he was in there either. Edmonton, I was kind of surprised that Benson got sent down and Caleb Jones, but they will both be on the list of the first guys you call up during the season. And for Philadelphia, Ruptsov also got cut. There are a lot of guys who got cut. You can go to Roto World where they'll tell you who got cut. TSN is sometimes a little bit behind on getting it, and sometimes they don't have all the players. Cap Friendly's pretty good too about telling you who's been cut. There are a lot of players. Chicago cut some this morning too. No really big names though among the cuts. Neuwirth has an unspecified injury that came out this morning. So if you're a Lion or if you're Hart, you may get a shot. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what that injury is and what's going on there. Mike Green has fatigue issues for Detroit. Now, he had surgery in the offseason, and they're trying to get down to the root of what's causing the fatigue issues. But it sounds like they're worried about it because they don't know the cause and they don't know exactly what's going on. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Because, of course, they brought Green back. And if Green is out, if Green ends up missing a significant amount of time, then yeah, maybe Detroit's going to end up being one of the bottom three in the league. Maybe that's where we're headed. But I still think that with Green and with the roster they have, I think they can do well. Although, and I can mention this isn't on the board, but in his debut in the preseason, Zadina wasn't very Zadina-like. I think they said he played 16 minutes. He had no shots. He was dealing with a couple of things himself. So you don't get it very long in the preseason. And if you don't make a good impression, you're out. Jack Johnson and Justin Schultz have been paired together for the Penguins so far, which is an interesting pairing in that they're both coming off of subpar seasons, and they're both going to look to bounce back, apparently, together. So that'll be interesting to watch and see how far that goes. Brodzinski was injured last night for the Kings versus Vancouver. There's been no update on that yet. By the time this posts, there probably will be, but at this point, I don't see anything on how long Brodzinski's going to be out. Watson has a hearing next Wednesday. So the 27-game suspension against Austin Watson next Wednesday is the date that he'll get a hearing with an arbitrator where he will argue that he, doesn't deserve 27 games for this. And we'll see where that goes. Erik Karlsson has finally started talking. We've talked for months now about how Karlsson isn't saying a word. What's going on? He had not spoken to Senators management since November, when they asked him for a no-trade list. That's sad. That's really it. And to me personally, it says a lot about the organization. That here is the guy who's been the face of your team for about a decade, and you're not even talking to him. There's just nothing. So all of these talks for months about how maybe there was something between him and Melnyk, maybe there is something to that. And again, once somebody gets out of that situation, eventually the truth comes out. Now, for people who are talking about how he hasn't signed yet with San Jose, he may. He actually mentioned yesterday to the press that he's impressed with San Jose's ability to re-sign guys that they got in trade. So he's saying, yeah, these guys are really good at keeping guys around after they trade for them, which is impressive. Because very often you'll see a guy who's a rental and he plays pretty well and then he ends up out. He can't sign with San Jose until after the trade deadline if he wants the full 8 years. So it may very well be that he has an agreement with San Jose in principle, and he's just not going to say it. And then the day after the trade deadline, they bring him out for a press conference, and they say for the next 8 years, Carlsson is a Shark. So that could happen. There's no reason at all for them to sit down with him and talk contract right now. They could just casually mention it, talk about it, and just agree on a framework, and then after the trade deadline, get it 100% done. So we'll see what happens there, but it's an interesting situation because Carlsson is finally talking. And again, when you've had management not talking to you for about a year, that's uncomfortable. No matter who you are on a team, I would think that's uncomfortable. Especially when you see how close Melnyk and Borowiecki are. It is a very odd situation to me that a guy of that stature has nothing to do with management for almost a year. Stunning. Anyways, there you go. You're all caught up on the news and notes of the day. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.